show about Latinos for Latinos. And did we mention Latinos?
It's the Latísima.
Latinos come in all flavors, shapes, and sizes. You don't have to be Latino to enjoy chips and salsa.
Siempre love chips and salsa.
Tuesday at 4 p.m. We are the Chips and Salsa Show. We exist because we want to be proof that just because you're brown don't mean you're a Democrat. We were, but we aren't anymore. We are conservative Republicans.
Conservative Republican.
Right on. We have a great show in store for you. So we usually spend the first segment with announcements and getting some housekeeping out of the way. But in the second segment, we're going to bring back our good friend HOP. Say his last name because I can't.
Nguyen.
Awesome.
HOP Nguyen.
HOP Nguyen. And he is running for an LD29 for the House. And we're excited about that. He's a fantastic candidate. We have plenty to talk to him about, including, for those of you who are precinct committeemen, we're going to talk about kind of the legislation that got through. And we'll be talking about that. So please stay tuned. There's lots to do.
Very important news.
And thank you for tuning in. Okay, remember to download the free app.
Right.
Central City Radio free app. That way you can take us wherever you go. And we are on MeWe. I have a Chips and Salsa page on MeWe. And I also have, I'm on there too. Are you on MeWe yet?
I have access to it, but yeah, I'm going to be on it pretty soon.
You'll be on there pretty soon. Okay, because, go there because there isn't a censorship like the Facebook page.
And we have a lot of people leaving Facebook, and they need another medium to listen to us, and they're going to go to MeWe, so that's going to be a big change. And our YouTube page is always on. So
YouTube will go up. Julian, who's in the house, thank you, Julian. Thank you, Rock, who takes care of us behind the glass and puts a show on. And he will be uploading this show to YouTube. So like by tomorrow, usually you can access it that way. So that's MeWe, Facebook, and YouTube. Download the free app here on Central City Radio, Talk Central Phoenix. We do have some announcements. We got some birthdays. Guess whose birthday was yesterday? Millennial Muchacho.
I know, I heard.
Preston Romero, our good friend. He was one of our original interns when we started doing broadcasting.
Was he going to call today or no?
You know what? We should ask him to call in. I don't know. He's pretty busy. He's in Cali. He works up with the state assembly, and there's a lot of stuff going on. We need to have him just for a whole segment to bring us up to date.
There's so much for him to talk about, especially in California. And
yeah,
a lot of things happening.
Too much going on.
Price of gas, people. Whew.
Yeah, and we'll get to gas in just a moment. But as far as birthdays, do you have any birthdays to announce?
No.
All right. We want to also wish a happy birthday today to David Gonzalez. He is Arizona U.S. Marshal. Our good friend.
Longest serving U.S. Marshal, by the way.
Is he? Really?
Yeah.
Awesome. He's fantastic. We need to get him back. We
had him on our show a long time ago, but we need to get him back.
You're right. Also, our good friend Matt Morales, Annie Sandoval, and also my cousin Joanne Lively. Happy birthday to you. And also happy birthday to Shiri Sapir. And Shiri is running for the Superintendent of Public Instruction. And who else have we missed? On the 6th, so earlier this week, let's see, that would have been Sunday, I think, my friend Maggie Toscano. So happy birthday to you guys. And if you have any anniversaries out there, happy anniversary also. All right, I wanted to do some whole enchiladas and cocotazos. I wanted to give a whole enchilada to our good friend Carolyn Leff. Did you see what she did? Did you see that she was on TV?
No, I missed that.
They featured her because she has the Ukrainian connection, and she has been helping to fund money to help the people there. So way to go, Carolyn Leff. Salute. I think
volunteerism means a lot, people.
I think I posted it on our Facebook site, and if not, I'll go and make sure that we do. But salute to you. That's a whole enchilada. And for those of you that's the first time you've tuned in, whole enchilada is when somebody does something great. They're the whole enchilada.
They get a whole enchilada.
Like our guests are typically their whole enchiladas.
Yes.
That's how it rolls. Now, cocotazos. Oh, my God.
I might say the listeners are a whole enchilada.
That's right. You guys are all whole enchiladas.
Your chipsters and your whole enchiladas, too.
That's great, George. You're right. Absolutely. Salute. Thank you very much for everything you do. And that's why we've been here going on our 8th year number 8. Wow.
8 years.
Well, we can always give a cocotazo to Coco Joe, cocotazo in chief.
Yep, he's a lifetime member of the Cocotazo Club.
And thank you, because I was telling George before the show, my husband said, you better gas up the car this weekend. So Saturday, I gassed up for $4.01, and I had a half a tank, so it was $41. And then you just gassed up recently, right?
Yeah, I just put $40, didn't even fill it up.
How much was the gas?
I think $4.59.
$4.59.
Yeah.
Do you put the better gas in your car?
No,
That's just the regular.
But it was where I was at, so I was over here by the Commons and stuff. The gas is expensive here. It's a little cheaper. It's like maybe a $4.40 or $4.39 down on the west side.
And it's
still ridiculous.
It's going to be $5 before you know.
Yeah, it'll take $60 to fill up a regular mid-sized car, and where before we only took maybe $30 or $40.
I know. I don't know how people are doing it. That's a lot of money. Like, I don't have to go into a commute every day and go into the office. But if I did, that would be a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. And I travel a lot in my business, so...
It's terrible.
I'm officially screwed.
It's terrible.
I hope I can say that on Facebook.
Maybe you're going to have to get a bike and then do your deliveries on your bike.
Do a little scooter or something.
A little moped. And you see
you can see me on a moped.
With a little trailer behind you with your supplies. And then you can just go ahead. As long as you're going to do that, have the chips and salsa banner on the sides.
A little chips and salsa
Advertise. Right.
Hey, advertise while you're in the scooter.
We laugh, but it is not.
They interviewed a lady in the news this morning, and they said, what do you think? And she said, well, I got to get to work, and I got to go from here to there. He says, I got to pay it. Yeah. I mean, she was resolved to the fact that whatever it is, she has to pay it. She has to earn a living. It's just ridiculous. I envy the people that work out of their houses now. I wish I had a job that worked out of the house. You just never leave.
And it's going to affect everything. Prices are going to go up.
Input data. It's like,
it is nice to work from home.
Yeah.
It is nice.
There's a lot of people working from home, but a lot of us have to drive to work. So
there's plenty of traffic. As I came into the studio today, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a freeway. I go right over the freeway.
They should have anticipated this. They knew they were buying Russian oil. They should have anticipated there was going to be a glut in the market. If they even considered stopping that access coming in, then already start planning, meeting with the Saudis, meeting with the people that are going to give them more gas. I think Mexico.
Well, if he would have just stayed with how Trump had it,
with the
we
pipeline.
wouldn't even have this problem.
Where's our pipeline?
We wouldn't have
Biden.
this problem. So that's our rant, and that's a big cocotazo from the Chips and Salsa Show. Okay, we got a few announcements. Our good friend Cynthia is going to have, it's already time, if you can believe it, George, for the 8th annual Freedom from Violence Walk.
Oh, wow. Where's that going to be?
It's this weekend, March 12th, and it's starting at Hermosa Park, and that's 20th Street and Southern here in South Phoenix. Not here, we're in Central Phoenix now. And then the block party is at the House of Helps, which is 2102 East Alta Vista Road.
Yeah.
These guys, that's right, and that's going to be at Southgate Church, which is 2020 East Baseline. So if you'd like to come, the meeting starts at 7. All Republicans are welcome, and I'm sure we'll be discussing the legislation with the Precinct Committeeman and what's going on down there.
People are going to be pissed.
Yeah, it's going to be fireworks, I'm sure. Then my good friend Gina Swoboda sent this to me, and there's going to be an Election Integrity Network, invites you to Arizona Statewide Election Integrity Summit, and that's Friday and Saturday, right?
Yeah, that's this weekend. That's it's cheap too. It's like $20, $30 at the door, and $20 if you pre-register, and it includes a meal.
$20 early bird.
Yeah, and it includes a meal and education that you'll get, which is fantastic. It's a good event.
And that's the Arizona Grand Resort. So that's 8000 South Arizona Grand Parkway and South Mountain. That's right off the freeway, Baseline and I-10.
And you'll really enjoy it. There's a lot of good speakers. Meadows,
Mark Meadows is running
Mark
it, I
Meadows
believe,
is going to be one of the keynote speakers, and another one that's going to be
right on.
Yeah,
So
they
we'll
have some
try
good
to
keynote speakers and stuff. I have to be at NASCAR, so I can't be there.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there, and I don't know if I will, but I encourage you to. Lots of great information. Okay, we're going to be right back with our friend HOP Nguyen. HOP Nguyen, who's running for an LD29 for the Arizona State House here on the Chips and Salsa Show. And my name is Alice Lara.
And I'm Don Jorge.
So we'll be right back. Don't go away. We're going to guac on some more here on
Central City Talk Central.
How about Central City Radio Talk Central Phoenix?
The Chips and Salsa Show. Your favorite show. Right
on. Okay, we'll be right back. Don't go away. On the Chips and Salsa Show, my name is Alice Lara. Aquí con
Don Jorge.
He's back. You've been gone for such a long time. I almost didn't recognize you in your suit, man. Woo. And you brought your hat too, right on.
Yep. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, as promised, he's also back because you haven't been with us for a while. But we have a wonderful candidate for Legislative District 29. He's running for the Arizona House, HOP Nguyen. Did I say it right? All right, we're getting there, man. We're getting there. Woohoo, yeah. Nguyen. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about you. I went to your website, which is HOP, H-O-P, the number 4, Arizona.com. And he's a naturalized citizen. And he has unique experience having to rebuild his life multiple times, employed from a janitor to a programmer analyst in the last 44 years. I empathize with the struggles and hopes of a wide cross-section of the citizens of these United States. Sorry, I can't read today. I seek the liberty, well-being, and dignity of all citizens and promote the security and prosperity of Arizona by upholding and defending the Constitution and by preventing communism and fighting back governmental overreach. And I just want to say, Hop, I finally had a chance, and I read that 1975 story. And please, is it still up here on your website?
Yes,
If you do nothing else, ladies and gentlemen, please go and read that. It is fascinating. I think we're about the same age, so we're familiar with Vietnam and all that stuff that happened. It's an incredible story, and you will not be, have you written like a whole book about it?
No, I have not.
That's like one chapter. I think it could be a movie. It could be a fantastic movie and great. And about coming here, your family. And I don't want to. We just want to remind you that the camera's that way too. There you go. We got a director in here showing us. There is so much good stuff in there. And one of the stories about your mom. People are asking for food because basically they don't have any food. They're trying to get to America. They go to Guam and then you go to America. And I don't want to ruin it, but there's just a fantastic story about your mom helping somebody out with food that just tears. And I'm a pretty hard person to make cry. Okay, somebody's calling me. I don't know who that is, so I'm not going to pick it up. But it could be Tyler, so you take it over.
Well, you're... This is the first time you're running for the...
No, he ran, remember, before
you ran?
He came.
Okay.
You didn't get to interview him the last time.
Oh, okay.
That's
so how do you think you'll do this? Well, this time you'll do much better, I think.
Yes, I think so. There's so many things that happened since the last time that I actually... you guys interviewed, Alice, you interviewed me, I think it was March 3rd, of 2020.
Really?
So it's 2 years.
Isn't that interesting?
2 years, and a lot had happened.
Right when COVID was starting, huh?
Yes. I got on the ballot, and I got, I had a lot of support for a newbie, and I received 20% of the votes, and that's fantastic for a newbie and who's unknown. But since then, a lot have happened. Of course, the pandemic. It was a sad time. We went through the lockdown. We went through the all the problems that we had in Scottsdale, the rioting.
And everything was virtual. People couldn't meet with the people. You had to be on Zoom.
I was not virtual, though. I was out there on the street.
No, I remember you came and did the show, too. Yeah.
I was not.
That's good.
I did not think that the pandemic was a legitimate one, because it was more politically driven than anything else. I remember roaming the streets and helping vendors in Scottsdale to protect their storefronts, even though Governor Ducey had an order for for lockdown. We went in July of 2020, the same year. We went to the Capitol to celebrate 4th of July. And we were confronted by Black Lives Matter.
This Capitol or Washington, D.C.?
No, the Arizona Capitol.
Okay.
And I stood up against them, and because I'm not a hero. I'm not a hero by any stretch of imagination. But when people are in danger, people's lives are in danger of being threatened by others, you can bet that I'll be right in the midst of it.
Hop, were they local BLM, or do you think they're coming from out of state?
I don't know. Unfortunately, what's humorous is that most of them are white.
I've noticed that too.
It just boggles my mind.
Wow.
But so I'm suspecting that it's imported from somewhere.
So you came out alive, but must have been kind of scary.
It was concerning, but what was I wasn't very unhappy about the situation, because we could have avoided the whole thing with good planning, but it wasn't my show, and so.
So the rally was for what?
It was just a celebration of the 4th of July.
Of the 4th of July.
So you weren't even protesting any of the mandates or anything, and that Black Lives Matter showed up.
The group that you were with was what? It was a bunch of.
It was just it was just a bunch of candidates that we went out there and just had to just have a celebration.
So how did Black Lives Matter people finally go away, or did they stay there the whole time?
And they did, but it would have gotten worse had we not confronted them, because we had the typical in Arizona, especially in Maricopa County, there are a lot of retired citizens, and at that celebration there were a lot of women and children, and even some disabled people, and I think they would not have threatened us had we had younger people, but it's the cowardly way to harass people. They love to harass the young, the children, women, and the old,
the vulnerable,
the elderly, the vulnerable ones. And so
wow, thanks for doing that. We appreciate that. Wow.
You got to stand up for what you believe, and you have to. You got to stand up to these people, because if not, they'll get emboldened and they'll do it again and again and again. It's just, and for what? Just a regular celebration of the 4th of July? That's ridiculous.
Yep.
So you're running again this time
Yes, I am.
around, and we've had some redistricting. Did it change your district very much? What are your boundaries?
The new boundaries for us 29 goes all the way from Wickenburg, excluding Wickenburg, to the border of Yavapai County,
Wow.
and down to north of Bell, which that is the if you will look at that as the western part of the 303,
Okay.
going north and south. On the east side of the 303, it would be from south of Bell, going all the way down to McDowell. So it's pretty.
That's an interesting.
Yeah.
Line
And
up.
the eastern boundary is, I believe, is 113th Avenue. That's including El Mirage.
So does
Yeah.
that still have most of what was there before,
Um,
or not really?
Not really.
They changed it quite a bit.
Yeah. We still have Sun City Grand, but other than that, north of Sun City Grand, north and east of Sun City Grand is 28 and 27.
Mm-hmm.
I believe 27 goes all the way up to New River.
Wow.
I believe so.
I do want to talk about the precinct committee meeting legislation, and we're hoping to have Tyler on here. So let's maybe give him another segment. If he can't call in, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
But that way, all four of us can. For those of you that may not know, there's Arizona. We've always got something going on. So if you hadn't heard about it, this affects directly precinct committeemen and the way elections are held. And we're quite upset about it. So we'll save that, like I say, maybe for the next segment when Tyler comes in. So I'm very excited that you're running again, because I know you're a good candidate.
I'm excited.
And we need some good, strong candidates. And George started out asking you, so you've had 2 years now. Do you feel like your chances are better, or what's going on?
I believe so. But
I think things have changed
Yes,
to
things
where
have changed.
people believe that change is due
Yeah.
from status quo.
Right now, I have several challengers, and I'm not very concerned about it. And the bottom line is, it's up to God. I will do my best, and I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to fret, and we'll
Good.
see what happens.
Do you have any events coming up that you can announce or anything?
Actually, right now, at this point, I don't. I'm preparing for events. I don't have any events coming up. The last couple months have been for me to get enough signature to.
How are you doing with
register. I am hoping that things don't change anymore. As you can, if you look at the situation the past few months, things have changed quite a bit. But if things don't change, I should be able to file by the end of next month.
Excellent. I'm going to cut you
this
off.
month.
By this month? I'm going to cut you off because we're going to go to a hard break.
Okay.
But we'll come back, and then maybe if we can get Tyler on the line, we'll talk about the PC legislation, HB 2839. I'm Alice Lara. You are.
Don Jorge El Alacran.
And we'll be back with a candidate for LD 29, HOP NGUYEN, here on the Chips and Salsa Show, Central City Radio, Talk Central Phoenix. Don't go away.
Valley's home for podcast.
And you are.
Don Jorge.
We have in studio with us a wonderful guest, HOP NGUYEN, who is running for Legislative District 29 here in Arizona for the Arizona House. And we have a wonderful surprise guest on the phone that we got. Thank you very much. We have Tyler Boyer, who is our Arizona National Committeeman for the Republican Party. Is that a good introduction, Tyler?
Yeah, that's fine. That's as good as I can ask for.
All right, right on. And he has been on our show. He's a very good friend of the Chips and Salsa show, good amigo. And the reason we invited him to talk to us for a little bit is to give us the latest update on this HB 2839. And because, Tyler, I was telling you, George came in, and poor George didn't even know what was going on. Could you give us a little synopsis and kind of tell the audience what it's about and bring us up to date?
Yeah, I mean, just the real quick synopsis of it is that in an effort, in a bill that was meant as emergency legislation to fix some oversights that essentially were caused by Katie Hobbs, because Katie Hobbs had screwed up her job so bad. She had basically confused everyone by taking registration numbers from the last election cycle into this election cycle, and then assigned for the new LDs old numbers. And so it created a bunch of confusion that was totally unnecessary, totally goofy, and it just proves more and more reason why Katie Hobbs should definitely not be governor. She's just totally incompetent. But it created this huge issue, so the legislature was going in trying to fix it, and meanwhile, the Arizona Association of Counties came in and decided, oh, hey, while we're at it, let's try to throw some extra language in there. And it looks like this came through via Rusty Bowers, the Speaker of the House, and basically just eliminating elections for precinct committeemen for 2022. Wow. And so, and in doing so, what they did was they basically said that every county chair for every county in Arizona for each of the parties would basically have sole discretion on who becomes precinct committeeman, which, there's a lot wrong there, which we could discuss for hours, but, not to mention the parties are totally ill-equipped and not really prepared to take on the work of, appointing thousands of precinct committeemen. And we have more precinct committeemen, by the way, than we've ever had in the history of Arizona right now. We have thousands and thousands and thousands, and a lot of new people, too, that joined after 2020. And so there's a lot of problems there. I mean, I can tell you that there's just a ton of issues that exist. We think that future legal issues, how this, the definitions for state committeemen and how we elect our delegates at the quadrennial election 2024 and everything else just all becomes a part of this huge mess, not to mention the party's just having some struggle now at this point, just saying, hey, how are we going to do this? And there was, in addition to that, some conversation because the bill was written so poorly. There's conflicting language that was in there that created problems, and it just is a total hairy mess. And not one single person in the legislature thought to pick up the phone and call the party and say, hey, this emergency piece of legislation is coming through. It mentions precinct committeemen. What do you think? No one decided to do that, and so now they're in the problem because in order to pass emergency legislation, you have to have a 2/3 vote of the legislature, and so in order to repeal it and replace it with something that makes more sense, to fix the minor problems that they had for this election cycle, now they have to get 2/3 vote to do that. So they're waiting, and they think that that's going to be able to be successful on Thursday. We appreciate the legislators who have come forward and said, hey, we had no idea that this was happening, and I believe them. There's a lot of good legislators that we have down there that are saying that they kind of got tricked or duped, or were under the impression that none of this was happening, and so we'll take their word for it. And now they're working hard to fix it. They think they'll be fixed by Thursday, but we'll see. It's going to require some Democrats to get on board for it, and we know how reliable Democrats are today. So
and that's what I'm very concerned about, as you say. And just for the benefit of our audience who may not follow what we're talking about, the precinct committeeman is like your most grassroots representation. Just an example, my precinct, Ardmore, there are about 6 slots, which means there's always one precinct committeeman to start off with, even if you had 3 people that lived in that precinct. And for every 125, then you have one representing that. And this would change things so much and turn us from not being elected officials, really.
Oh yeah, I mean, Arizona has a very it's a great system for precinct committeemen. They're elected by the general public for the party, of the individual parties. It's, as you said, one for every 125 voters in your party. And that's a wonderful thing, because what that ends up doing is it makes sure you have a representative party. It's like we believe in a representative republic as Republicans, and that means that we are practicing what we preach within the party, that we have a very representative party. And so this is an attack on that, for one. And for two, now we have a circumstance where, like you mentioned, there's really two roles to the precinct committee. One is you're the grassroots and representative for your community, for the party. The second, there's actually some legal obligations that the precinct committee may fulfill. And the most important one, arguably, is that when there's a vacancy in the legislature, the precinct committeemen from your party get to pick who replaces, at least they put up 3 names that go to the Board of Supervisors for appointment, of the people who would replace that fulfill that vacancy, or replace the person that left office. And so this happens pretty regularly.
Yes.
People get new jobs, they die, they get sick, they whatever, they quit, they get kicked out, sometimes from time to time. And so this is a really important job. And so now what you're saying is basically, one person who's the county chair basically will have sole discretion over who becomes the people that pick that person. And that's a little bit problematic. It wouldn't seem problematic on the out front if you didn't understand the system, but it definitely is. And there's one other piece to this that's really interesting. I don't know. Do we have a couple minutes to talk about it?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So the one really interesting part is I actually think this is a direct attack on primaries. Part of the reason Democrats, I'm in love with our primary system here. I feel like it's too loose. I wish we had more of a closed primary. But Democrats hate our primaries altogether, and it's for the opposite reason, and it's because they want them to be completely open.
Mm-hmm.
And so Democrats in most states have been pushing, and it's mostly the left that's pushing what they call a jungle primary, or they call a automatic runoff primary. And automatic runoffs are now getting popular. They just passed in Utah and Alaska. But basically what it means is it eliminates the primary election altogether. And so what you would do is you'd rank, if they call it ranked choice voting as well, you'd rank who you want to vote for. And so if Alice, George, and Tyler are all running against each other, if I wanted Alice as my first pick and Tyler as my second and George as my third, if Alice didn't get 50% in the first run of those ballots, then if I voted for George and he gets knocked off, and Tyler was my second pick, then my vote would go to Tyler instead of who I initially intended.
So they would reassign your vote. Basically.
So basically, it's going the opposite direction for where most Republicans are, where it's relying on more computers, more confusion. And I actually believe that part of the reason why they want to get rid of precinct committeemen is actually because they want to get rid of our primary in Arizona so they can implement something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you could be right. I mean, that's a good theory. Hop, what do you think?
I'm not very well versed on how everything works, but I can agree with Tyler that we are switching from representation from the people over to what the county wants to do, and I'm not sure that I have 100% trust in the county leadership to do the right thing if given enough power.
Yeah, and I think, I was talking to Tyler during the break, and it's a good opportunity for new candidates like you, because, my goodness, that now these legislators, they are going to read the bills very, very thoroughly, I think. They should, anyway.
They should.
Tyler, we got 1 minute. Give me 30 seconds, whatever you want to say, and thank you so much for coming on late notice.
Well, hey, I'll just say this is, the precinct committeeman job and representative party structure that we have is very important. And, again, I think we need to have more of a scenario. The reason why it's important is because the party has a platform, and that's what defines that how we know we all belong together. And so when you eliminate the primary, when you eliminate the party, and you eliminate the platform, it makes it very confusing and easy for people to pull the wool over people's eyes. And so my biggest fear is that the future moving forward is that third parties And when I say third parties, I mean not a political party, but special interests will really take advantage of voters in the state of Arizona. And I'm afraid that that's the direction we're heading by allowing things like this to pass. And so we need our precinct committeemen strong. We need our precinct committeemen ranks full, and we need to fight, for our platform here in the state of Arizona.
Tyler Boyer, thank you so much for coming on. You have a great one. Good luck, and if you need to have another update, please let us know.
Thank you guys very much. Thanks, Alice. Thanks,
Thank
George.
you.
Talk to you later.
Take care.
Thank you, Tyler.
All right.
Thank you, Tyler.
And we'll be right back with more of the Chips and Salsa Show here on Central City Radio Talk Central Phoenix. Alice Lara and
Don Jorge
be back with our guest, Chipstore. Yeah.
Chipstero.
And we have our good friend, amigo Chipstero, HOP NGUYEN, who is running for Legislative District 29 for the Arizona House. And he wanted to continue on more about this House Bill 2839. I'll just toss it to you, Hop.
Yep. Just to let everyone know, I'm the precinct captain of my precinct, which is Desert Oasis. And as the legislators are working on this, I'm still encouraging all the PCs to be on track. And actually, tomorrow I will have a working session with all the PCs to get all the signatures done, all the applications done, and pretend that nothing has happened. We need to move on a positive note, and hoping that for the best. I don't think we should be discouraged that we would just throw our hands up and say, well, what's the use? And I think that it is all in the attitude that we carry. I've been told in the past, Hop, why are you even running? There's so much election, integrity problems that it doesn't help. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are problems, but we need to correct them. But at the same time, we need to continue with life as though it will be corrected. That is how we have to operate. We can't just stop everything and wait for the corrections to happen. Who is going to correct them if
I think that's really good advice, and be prepared, because what if, it returns the same, and then we're not ready. Then we have to go around collecting our signatures.
I think that we just go on the way that we are going on, because we have a meeting next week, RLD. Mm-hmm. We go have our final meeting, because we're going from LD 19 to LD 2022. And then the following week, we have elections of our LD, our chairman and stuff. We have certain amount of quotas at each one of our, this is one of our LDs, where LD page, where it shows how many precinct committeemen you're allowed in each precinct. Our Devenger, for instance, for example, is allowed 14 precinct committeemen. We should still go forward and try to fill up all our precincts, have our election, and let the process rolled out where they changed this ridiculous law that rule that they just wrote, having one representative, or not being able to get it on the. If somebody else wanted to run in Devenger, they would be able to fill out an application, get their 10 signatures, and then it would go to the ballot. But the way it's written, you can't go on the ballot now, because you're only allowed one person.
I think you're absolutely right. And since we just have a few minutes, we want to make sure, because I feel like we kind of have cheated you out of time. So what would you like people to know about your campaign and your issues as you run for this office?
What I would like everyone to know, to understand, is the past few months, especially, you've heard of HR 550. HR 550 was supposed to fund the infrastructure that Obama created to track our health, status. And to me, that is that organization is unconstitutional. But HR 550, a lot of people think that, it doesn't create. The argument was it wasn't creating anything. It wasn't creating any infrastructure. My question is, if the infrastructure is unconstitutional because it violates personal rights of privacy, then why are we supporting and further fund that infrastructure. Now, some people right now would say, well, Hop, you're beating a dead horse. It's been HR 550 has been around since November, the last day of November. I think it was November 30th, and we argue over it, and we place blames, and we've done everything. But the point that I'm wanting to get to is this: we have a federal government that is out of control. And as a state representative, what I would like to do is we need to shore up our borders physically, and and as part of, we want to be independent as much as possible from the encroaching power of the federal government. And how do we do that? I've traveled quite a bit, and I've spoken to a lot of legislators, and I've spoken to a lot of candidates, and I have not heard this. What we are right now as the state of Arizona is, I liken us to a drug addict. We are a drug addict because we continue to receive federal funds, and we don't know why the federal government can continue to encroach on our rights. Well, if you accept money from someone, you behold to them. And what we need to do as legislators would be to stop this thing. Now, we're not going to be able to stop all federal funding at the same time. It's the same reason that you can't just cut off the drug from a drug addict. You have to slow that person down and find a cure. And to me, the slow cure that we have is that we need to look at legislations and say, wait, are we taking up more? We're taking on more support, monetary support from the federal government. If we are in trouble. We're going to have to kowtow to the federal government more and more. We need to stop doing that.
So it's like they're the big pusher and we're the addict. That's a really good point. I was just watching a presentation from Lawrence Spivak. Do you know who that is? He's he is an economic warrior. I'll give you his link. But he was talking just about that, how America is addicted. Yeah. And I
this is not a piece of carrot that the federal government is giving to us. I can tell you, I will not vote for that legislation because we need to be independent. We need to protect our border. If the federal government does not fulfill their responsibility, their obligation to shore up our borders and close up our border, we are responsible for it. Right. We cannot say, the federal, it's the right of the federal government. No, it's not.
It's our border.
Yeah, it is our border.
Good point.
And I just want to also address the problem of HR 2839. It's not a very isolated situation. The situation is this: we are always running short on time. We are always in a constant state of emergency.
That's true.
Okay. As a project manager, I worked in the past as a project manager. We have to plan. We cannot say that, Katie Hobbs did something wrong, so we are going to wait until the last minute to push through this legislation. We have to be
preparing.
Proactive. We have to be proactive. She came out with the numbers last February. Why are we waiting an entire month?
Last February of last year.
No, this
February. Okay.
Changing the numbers. Numbers don't make sense, but we have to plan on doing that and have a plan to attack this problem. We cannot wait until the last minute to try to push through a legislation, trying to push it through essentially within 24
do a quick
24
fix.
hours.
Look what happened. Look at what happens when you try to do that.
The problem with fixing it, doing a quick fix, is that now we lose another week.
True.
Fixing it.
Trying to fix the quick fix.
Yeah.
And didn't end up being a quick fix.
We cannot continue to be in that type of an emergency any
Hop,
longer.
we have 1 minute. Give your website out, and if somebody wants to contact you.
My website is HOP, HOP, 4 Arizona.com.
Good. Okay, great. Thank you so much for being on today. Hope you can come back again. We'll have you on again. We interview Republican candidates here because we want you to know who's running. Thank you so much for all your patience. And we hope that you, like I say, come back and visit us again. My name is Alice Lara.
Don Jorge.
And this is the Chips and Salsa Show. We have been interviewing Hop NGUYEN, who's running for Legislative District number 29. He's running as a Republican. He's a really good candidate. Check him out at hop4arizona.com. We'll be back next week here, Tuesday, for the Chips and Salsa Show on Central City Radio Talk Central Phoenix. So please join us and follow us on Facebook, MeWe, and YouTube. Muchas gracias, Chipsters. Have a great week.
When you need to know, this is Talk Central, a Central City radio station.
This is a Fox News alert. A verdict in the Capitol riot on these